Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Transformers masterpiece, BLACKARACHNIA from Beast Wars, or you could call her Blackwidow if you prefer that. This is one that many people were very worried about based on early photos of both Beast Mode and Robot Mode, but mostly Beast Mode. And I gotta tell you, the Beast Mode definitely leaves a little bit to be desired, but I think the Robot Mode makes up for it. There's a whole lot to like about this figure, and we're gonna talk about all of it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. After a quick word from a sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends is a turn-based RPG for your mobile device. It's free to play, and it's one of the top 3 ranked RPGs on the Google Play Store, and it's just been nominated as a finalist for Google Play's Best of 2019 Users' Choice Award. And I wouldn't be talking to you guys about it if I didn't think it was actually good. This game is as close to a console or PC RPG turn-based game as you can get on your phone. It's really, really well done. It's got full-on 3D graphics, fully animated cutscenes, like full-on animations for all the moves and things. So in addition to just playing like the regular game, you can go solo against the different bad guys or whatever, the different story mode elements. There's also a raid option, so you can raid with friends, or you can play PvP, so you can play you versus another player. If that wasn't enough, they have published a roadmap showing what they have planned going forward. The game keeps growing, and as more and more people join and start playing the game, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. They keep adding more elements and more things for you to do, so you're never really going to run out of stuff to do for the foreseeable future. One of my favorite features of this game is that you can set it to run in auto mode, where you can either have it just do one battle, or you can set it to do as many battles as you have available to yourself. And it'll just grind for you, basically. It'll use your teams and everything, but it'll do all the grinding, and you can go do something else and come back and you'll have all the things you grinded for, even though you weren't even there. So you can spend more time doing all the fun stuff and less time doing the boring RPG grindy stuff. I think that's pretty cool. In addition to doing raids with clan members, or going to play PvP, or even just playing by yourself in story mode, there are also weekly events and tournaments. These events can unlock special prizes. So if you guys are interested in this, if you play mobile games at all, you should really give it a shot. Again, it is free to play, and there are obviously transactions you can do to augment the game in various ways, but it's nothing you need to do. You can play completely without it. It's perfectly fine to play for free. And there's a link in the description below, and part of the new player program, you're going to get 50,000 silver to start and a free epic champion. Not a bad way to start the game. You have to use the link in the description below, though, in order to do it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get those things. This figure stands just about 6 inches, which makes it pretty close to, let's say 15.5 centimeters, pretty close to that. And it's very small, yes, and I'll have size comparison at the end so that you can see. It's not, I don't think it's too small. I mean, it's in scale, so you'll see up against Megatron and Optimus and Cheetor and Dinobot, and it's the size she's supposed to be. Whether or not it costs too much, well, I guess that's up to you. I think it's worth it, personally, but that's up to you. And so, first impressions on this figure in robot mode is that is what BLACKARACHNIA is supposed to look like. There's not much they could have done better. There are a few things they could have done better, and I'm going to talk about those, but overall, it looks really good. There's essentially no kibble on this character anywhere. At all. Like, it is exactly what it should be within reason. Now, I will say there are, like I said, a few spots, so let's talk about those briefly. First of which is her abdominal section. There's kind of a hole there because you can see like the spider mandibles that tuck into the spot right here. So there's kind of a gap right in the middle. It's not the best looking thing, and you can see the 2 little like rivety things there too. Not the best, but it's all blacks mostly, so you don't notice it too much. It doesn't stand out, and I think that's okay. Another issue is her ass area. Not that we needed a big ass or anything, but she essentially has no ass at all. So it looks a little bit weird because it's like big up here, but then there's nothing. So it just looks odd. You would expect it to be narrow here and bigger down here, and that's not the case. So it's a little strange just because it creates kind of a weird silhouette, but obviously that's not a huge deal. And that's it as far as the aesthetics go. Otherwise, it's pretty much what it should be, exactly. I thought her boob area was supposed to be transparent. Maybe that's... I swear it was transparent in the show. Maybe it was just a weird metallic look. But either way, it's very clean. The paint job on it's very nice. There's lots of paint going around. You can see the green and the bronzes and the golds and the different golds and blacks and purples and just paint everywhere. Molded plastic everywhere. Very nicely done. Very, very clean. So that's great. Aesthetically speaking, it's as good as you can expect reasonably, but it could be better, so I'm going to give it a 9. As far as Transformers go, you don't get much better than what they've been doing with these Beast Wars. They've just been really exceptionally well done, so that's great. And of course, we will talk about Beast Mode at the end, but we're going to focus on Robot Mode because who buys these things and leaves them in Beast Mode? If you do that, you're a weirdo. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the accessories. We have a total of 3 different faces. We have one that's supposed to be a neutral face that comes on her in the package, and then one where she's got kind of like a smirk. Mine came with the smirk on her in the package, and then the neutral one was extra, but whatever, I got both. And then there's one with the open mouth and the green eyes. The green eyes look fantastic, really nicely done. We do get her visor for various screen accurate scenes, and it's very nicely done with actually translucent green plastic in there, so that's pretty cool. We do get her gun with an interchangeable shot, so that thing can come out, and then you can use the one that has the purple rope on there. And that can also work when she's in beast mode, so you can actually have her acting like a spider if you wanted to dangle her. Good luck doing that effectively, but you could do it, so that's really cool. I'm glad they used the purple rope for the shot, so that's nice. We do have a stand, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I guess this is standard type of base for the Transformer. So we have that, and on that you can connect this giant purple web thing, which is really nicely done. You have to assemble it yourself, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, it looks pretty darn good. And you can attach her to that both in spider mode and in robot mode, so that's really nice. And then lastly, we get a little character card, which is, pretty standard. I don't know if anybody really cares about these, but you get it, so that's pretty cool. Not the most accessories in the world, but I think it's probably enough. I think the only other accessory I'd want for her is Silverbolt. I don't think we're gonna get him anytime soon, if ever. But yeah, it's a decent batch of accessories, so I'm gonna give it a 9. For a Transformer, that's a pretty good batch of accessories. You don't often get a ton, and so I think that is okay. Alright, so now let's go ahead and move on to the articulation, because Transformers are not known for being particularly articulated in robot mode, or alt mode, whatever that may be. But this one is pretty well done. So the head, there's a hinge and a ball peg, and it can move around pretty much however you want it to. You can pose her head better than almost any normal action figure, so that's really nicely done. For the shoulders, this part right here, the shoulder cap, will rotate around if you want it to, so it can get kind of annoying if it does spin when you don't want it to, but it will. And this part obviously has full rotation as well. And there's a little bit of a vertical butterfly on there, so that'll help you with posing. And then of course you do have your full-on hinge for the shoulder, which is a little stiff, but it'll work. And you can get the arm up completely horizontal, so that's very nice. You do have a bicep swivel where that, I guess, bronze color meets the gold, so that'll rotate there. You can spin this around so that you can use her legs in either mode, whether they're folded back or facing forward for guns, or you can just spin them around on their ball peg, so that's totally up to you. It's maybe easier to just do it that way, just to spin this, but you can move that around. Or you can just rotate it backwards to hide them more if you want to, because you do get another swivel right at the top of the elbow where the gold meets the bronze again. It's kind of hard to show because it's so small, but it'll swivel at the top and at the bottom of the gold. Zoom in so you can see that. So the gold is essentially a floating piece between those two, and it'll spin, and it's nice and tight, so you don't have to worry about anything like being floppy or anything like that there. We'll get to the floppy stuff in a minute. The elbow is a nice double hinged elbow, so you get full 180-degree bend. So that is about as good as you can get, really. Very nicely done. Then you get another rotation down here at the wrist, which I think is great, because her hands are surprisingly articulated. You have a hinge at the top here, and another one right there, so you can leave it full open. Or down here, you have one at the bottom. You have two for each part, really, for each pincher. So you can do that, or you can close them up, and you can have kind of like the closed hand look. And, as far as these kind of hands go, you don't get better than that. They did a really good job. It's essentially show accurate, and she does a really good job of holding her accessory, her gun, and that's just wonderful. I love that. There's no real articulation in the torso, though down here you can rotate the hips, and there's like a little bit of a lean. Not much, but you can move it a little bit, but it's mostly going to allow you to rotate it around. And so that's partly because she has no ass, and partly because of the way it's designed. So that's pretty good. I mean, you're going to be able to get her in poses. She's not going to be hunching forward, but you can move it a little bit, and I think that's okay. Now for the hips, we have a hinge that goes all the way out to the side, so full-on splits, which is good because she's very acrobatic in the show. A lot of the images, and this worried me when they were showing it, a lot of the images had it like this. And I thought, oh no, that's not good. That can't be. And luckily it's not. You do this, and the hips remove all of the unnecessary gapping. Of course there is some, but it's perfectly reasonable. So that's good. So you can also bring the legs all the way forward, all the way back. Again, no ass. It's a little loose, honestly. This is not as tight as I would like. It's not floppy, but it's definitely too loose. That kind of sucks. You have a thigh swivel here, so basically full-on action figure articulation. Single jointed knee, not the best looking, but perfectly fine for a Transformer because they're supposed to look like that kind of stuff anyway. So basically 180 degrees. Really, really nice knee on there. And then for the ankle, you have a hinge, which allows it to go pretty far back and all the way forward. And it does have a rotation for an ankle rocker. So the ankles are great on this figure. And so yeah, like I said, this part, the hip is a little bit loose. My knees aren't that bad, but they're not tight enough. I do think they're too loose, but it's not like she's fallen over on me. But if I tried to put her in a dynamic pose, it might. So definitely too loose for the knees and the hips. I didn't mention this, but we do have really nice tampography on the legs, by the way. Very, very nicely done. And then the last thing we have to mention are the spider legs, even though we'll talk about those in beast mode. They're too loose as well. The ball pegs are definitely too loose. They're not floppy in robot mode, but they are definitely too loose. That's kind of a trend with a lot of these joints, unfortunately. These joints, the hinges, probably too loose as well. I was going to say they're not, but yeah, they are. They should be tighter. So definitely a few issues here and there. But I think for what it is, which is a Transformer, I think a lot of people get carried away expecting too much out of these things. If you want them, like, so here's the thing. If you want it to be an action figure, then you have to be able to, or be willing to buy the action figures of Transformers. But most Transformers fans don't want that. They want them to transform. And if that's the case, if you want it to transform, you have to make some concessions. And I think that's what they're doing, but they're doing it in a good way. And I think they really nailed it. So the articulation on this figure, I'm going to give a rating of 9. It's loose, but it's basically a fully articulated action figure with no kibble. And it looks great. So all around the board, robot mode is really impressive. Not perfect, but impressive. So I'm going to give it a 9. There are definitely some issues, I will be clear, but short of it being just an action figure, I think the issues that we're getting are acceptable and reasonable, though I wish they weren't there. Okay? Alright, so let me go ahead and get it transformed, and then we will talk about beast mode. Okay, so we have it in beast mode, and I have to tell you, this is by far, without a doubt, out of my hundreds and hundreds of Transformers that I own, the least enjoyable thing to transform. At least back into beast mode. Getting it into robot mode is fairly simple because you just pull on everything and it comes apart, basically. But putting this thing back together is about as frustrating and irritating and unpleasant as it is to look at, because like I said, its beast mode is not very good. The whole spider body is the wrong shape, really, and the whole side of it is just folded up legs. Like, you can see her full robot legs on there for the most part, and it looks garbagey. And then you can basically see her full robot arms down here. Yeah, sure, you can see the hands only if you look underneath, but this part loves to just not snap together properly, and as you handle it, it'll probably unsnap. So you can see mine's not perfectly flush right here, but it just loves to not look good. And even when you push it and make sure it's exactly where it belongs, it still doesn't look good. This head moves around a little bit, so you can pose it some if you really wanted to. The mandible's open. I guess that's okay. You're supposed to peg this thing in down here, but as you try to do that, it just loves to fold the arms in, and then once these two pinch in and fold in, it's a total nightmare to try to get them to go back where they belong. So that it really is unpleasant. It's like, I'm not exaggerating at all in saying that I'm in a bad mood now that I've had to transform this thing back into beast mode. It's really crappy, and it doesn't even look good. It is just barely passable enough to be okay. But do not buy this if you are buying it for beast mode. I'm going to be perfectly clear. I think robot mode is fine. It's really nice. You already saw that part of the review, so if you like that, then get it. Like me, I'm perfectly happy to have it in robot mode. Fine. I will never put it back in beast mode after I'm done with this review. It's ugly. It's a total pain in the ass to transform, and there's just no benefit to it. Robot mode is perfectly good, and yeah, you can put it on the web. I'm going to show you right now because I'm not going to spend any time with it like this for the rest of the review. I'm not going to do photos or anything in beast mode. It's gross. It's so bad. But yeah, you can put it on there. There you go. Don't buy it for that. It's terrible. It's so... I can't express enough how unpleasant it is to transform this thing, because even the parts that tab together don't tab together for crap. The fitment are not great, and the things that do peg in together nicely, they still aren't very tight pegs. So there's a lot of tabs that aren't really tabs, and it's just like this part tabs into the slots on the knees. And it's hard to see right now, but if you get it, you'll see. And yeah, that's okay, but it's just like... the beast mode, and I don't know that they could do better. They probably couldn't, but it's just so not good. And look at that. The legs are so loose too that the only way it holds itself up is if it has no option to collapse, because the body's touching the floor, mostly because of this piece, and if you put the anchor thingy or whatever it's called on there. So yeah, it is just, the beast mode is trash. Honestly, as far as beast modes go, this is absolute bare minimum acceptable. Because it's a spider, and I get that they wouldn't have had much of an option. I get it, don't get me wrong, but it's still garbagey. It's just so garbagey. So it'll do. Like, it does evoke the look and sense of a spider, I give it that, but it's not good, especially with the loose legs. The loose legs are really annoying. So it'll do, and that's it. Robot mode or bust. Beast mode is crap. So final verdict on this figure, I'm gonna give it only an 8, because the robot mode is pretty much perfect other than a couple of loose spots. Beast mode is that bad that if you're a person who enjoys beast modes and transforming your Transformers, it will be a problem for you. It is not a pleasant transformation at all. There are so many little kibbly parts that, I mean, obviously they're not kibbly now other than the robot legs, but just the way it functions, it's just not fluid at all. Really did not enjoy transforming it back in the slightest little bit. And good luck with the instructions on going backwards. You're gonna have to really try to figure it out on your own, because the instructions are, like I said, there's so many little tiny parts that using the reverse instructions to do it, not very helpful. So I wouldn't recommend playing with it by transforming it. Leave it in robot mode, enjoy it as an action figure, and we'll call it there. So yeah, beast mode is just crap. Everything otherwise, I like it a whole bunch, and I definitely recommend it, but stay away from beast mode. I'm curious though, if any of you own this and you had a different experience, let me know in the comment section below, because maybe other people enjoyed it and I just didn't for some reason. But this was as unpleasant to transform as that knockoff Beast Gorilla, and I hated transforming that piece of garbage. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll talk about it in the comment section below. But otherwise, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, let me know. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should, because I have new videos out just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.